Hello everyone, welcome back. I am the Gerbil, and it's time for round 2 of getting to know our new favorite raid, the Speeder Bike Challenge. I want to say my previous video focusing on Imperial troopers turned out to be way more well received from you all than I expected. Honestly, when I posted that video, I had a lot of doubts about it because I didn't trust some of the thinking and data I had in my head, and I know that the raid overall has a very negative feeling. But I will say that from creating this spreadsheet behind me, and I'm going to share some big updates in a second, and I have shared it also on my Discord already, so go freely download it if you want. I have come to develop a very, very deep appreciation, actually, of the thought and complexity of this raid. Capital Games actually put an incredible amount of effort into it, so much so that I think that they way over-engineered and over-designed it. And the reason for that is all these mechanics that we're used to, potency, tenacity, crit avoidance, accuracy, evasion, whatever, we're used to these because we have years of practice with them, and they are all familiar terms that we understand. Potency makes something stick. Tenacity is a measure of fortitude and strength to resist something. Whereas stacks of timber and jam and other things that are based on these other monikers, that's a challenge. And so that's part of why I'm making these videos. Whether or not the teams and recommendations I have here make a lot of sense or are really, really good or not, because on paper they appear, some of the recommendations I'm going to give you on paper, they look really, really effective. Especially some of the hybrid Ewok Imperial troopers I'm about to show. But, you know, we all have seen these characters come to us that on paper they look fabulous, and then in play they're just meh. Like Rolo comes to mind to me. For the most part, she's unfortunately not very good, but when you read her kit, it's like deal damage 10 times, apply ability block in days, and I mean, it looks fabulous. So anyway, please bear in mind as watching this that this is on paper, this is theory crafting. The raid is still young, we're all still learning, and there's a lot of current excitement about the ability to reuse C-3PO, and a lot of people are asking, like, why is C-3PO good? I'm going to explain that in just a second also, but that's probably going to change. CG is investigating that, and they have announced that they're looking into it, and it's very, very, very likely that very soon C-3PO will not be able to escape battles because he is a combat unit in this raid. He is actually dealing damage to the enemy squads, so it's probably going to change. Anyway, let's get started. So first I'd like to talk about are just some like friendly updates. So this table I spent a lot of time revising and improving the aesthetics of it, but what I'm showing right now, again, you can download this, these are the defeat thresholds for each of the bad guys, the recruits, troopers, commandos, going down on each tier level. So at tier 0, these are the base values that they gave us on the website, and then the modifiers, the increased amount of stacks you have to remove, all the way down to tier 6 where it doubles. In addition, they have some other abilities, but honestly, I'm just going to reiterate, you can ignore that. You can ignore that completely. On the left, nothing changed here. I've got still the same sortable spreadsheet. So if you're looking for a character that provides a very specific ability, then you can come in here and you can sort it. Going down below that, we've got granted abilities, and I've listed them for each of the 3 factions, but I have not explicitly explored the rebels yet. I have only looked at and tried to analyze and understand the Imperial troopers and the Ewoks. And again, Ewoks with troopers appear to possibly be gold. So you're going to want to hopefully stick around for that. And then I've got all of the statistical reworks here, and there's some interesting things here. Health and protection both provide shield, crit damage, affect cooldowns, tenacity and evasion, physical evasion, both deal with evading. Health Steal and Armor, I wouldn't really worry about these. They're both about longevity. So the stacks that you have to remove to kill the enemies of damage, sideswipe, distract, and timber, those are all coming from these areas. So I will once again reiterate, most of these you don't really need to mod for. The ones that are going to be interesting are going to be crit avoidance, actually, especially for Ewoks. So let's now jump over here. Okay, real fast, quick update on troopers. Something that I didn't realize in my last video was that stats granted by leadership abilities are they affect these values down below, as do uniques. So, for example, in my previous iteration of this video, I had not taken into consideration that, for example, Magna Trooper, he gives all Imperial Troopers 30% tenacity. And that tenacity is important because when you evade something, it keeps the stacks, it doesn't consume them, it keeps those extra stacks on you. And through those extra stacks, the Imperial Troopers do more damage on their basic, because their basic does X damage, 8, plus their offense modifier, plus the sum of all evade stacks on your team. So evasion, maintaining those evasion stacks is really important. And so did a lot of thinking, and I found that Veers, with his offense boost to the team, Scout has an embedded 17% evasion, which means when he spams, he's going to lay out a whole bunch of evasion. And then the tenacity on Magna Trooper is going to keep your team from losing those evasions. So I've kind of rethought this. But again, these are still very focused faction-specific teams. And what I've discovered is that the Ewoks are going to steal a couple of your people. Troopers have an interesting dynamic, and you're going to probably want to put a trooper in squads with Ewoks. So let's go look at that, because this is really cool and overly complicated. The Ewoks are kind of at a level of complication that greatly exceeds a straight trooper squad, and it kind of mirrors in a way the way the faction is made. They're not a linear faction. They're a lot harder to mod properly. They're a lot harder to play out. And to that, because of the way that unique abilities provide boosts, such as health or protection, whatever, Ewoks don't really have static plus X whatever. They tend to have a lot of buffs, and buffs get ignored in this raid as far as I can tell. So they don't give you like flat plus 30% offense in the leadership like Veers, Piett, and Iden do. Instead, they do, like, when using a basic, they deal 10% more damage, and that's not actually increasing your offense, right? That's calculating the damage dealt, then adding 10% on it. So that, I don't think that that's coming into play here. And so the offense gets hampered and a bunch of other stuff, which means the pathways to killing the opponents become more convoluted. But I think I can clarify some of this and give you 3 really viable potential teams. So first off, we're going to go Chirpa, Ewok Elder, and Death Trooper. Ewok Scout, Wicket, and Nissa, they are all 3 the attackers. And this is going to be kind of cool. And then Tebow, Logray, and Stormtrooper. Poor old Poplu, I have debated and debated. I just think he's going to be left out. Again, this is on paper. So faction abilities, you gotta first take this in consideration. Whenever an Ewok removes stacks of timber from an enemy, whenever an Ewok uses a basic ability, they will remove additional stacks of timber to the target equal to the number of stacks of jam on the allies. And while it does not say this right here, it doesn't say it even in the game, the post that introduced all these rules said that when they use a basic, it will consume those stacks of jam. So you will gain a lot of jam, and then you will consume those jams. So gain jam, consume jam, gain jam, consume jam. This is going to work similar to the Imperial Troopers, that whereas they do extra damage based on evade, Ewoks are going to do extra stacks of timber removal based on jam. Cool thing here is that timber is one of the easiest ways to kill the enemies. These bolded ones are the lowest values. So the trooper, the commander, and the shadow, they are the easiest to kill with timber. You only got to remove 80 stacks of timber instead of 200 stacks of damage, for example. So Ewoks have the easiest path to victory, but they will be hampered by the jam that is going to simplify or reduce the power level of each attacking unit. So you want to use that jam as much as you can. Then synergies. Ewoks are going to give a lot of evasion to the team. I mean a lot of evasion. And troopers start with jam. Ding, seeing that immediately? So troopers give them jam to start off. The Ewoks can use that jam to start killing quickly and consuming it. Ewoks are going to give a whole bunch of evasion stacks, and then the troopers are going to start one-shotting the enemies, their brothers. So how does this work? Let's start off with the Chirpa squad. So Chirpa has evasive maneuvers and hasty repairs. The blue, just as a reminder, blue represents an AoE, green is a self. So both of his specials are going to spam evasion. You start off with evasive maneuvers. You've got 12 stacks across 3 allies. Elder goes next, 12 more stacks. You get 24. Now, Death Trooper does a basic. That means if you mod him properly with offense, you will just hit for 40 stacks of damage. That's going to start killing people pretty quickly. However, next turn, Chirpa can use hasty repairs. Elder can use hasty repairs. You've just added another 18 stacks. So now you've got 18 plus that. Death Trooper real fast will start hitting for an insane amount of damage. In addition to that, you mod your Elder, very easy to hit 100% tenacity. Every time he evades, he's going to retain 5 stacks of evasion. Similarly, Chirpa doesn't quite have as much tenacity, so you mod him for what you can. He'll keep 3+ stacks every time he evades, so you don't lose all these stacks of evade, and Death Trooper just keeps going whack, 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 kill them all. At the same time, if you don't have much evade built up, he has an AoE jam, so he can provide 6 stacks of jam, 2 to each ally, and those stacks of jam reduce timber. So when Chirpa and Elder both do their basics, they are doing, if you put crit avoidance on them, and I will, then they will take off 2 stacks of timber for crit avoidance, plus X stacks of timber, where X is the number of jam stacks you have. How do you get more jam? Every time you kill an enemy, all allies gain 2 jam. So he's going to spam 6 jams, kill an enemy, 6 more jams, kill an enemy, 6 more jams, kill an enemy, 6 more jams, take a turn, 6 more jams. And before you know it, the Ewok basics are helping Death Trooper to mop up, while at the same time increasing the number of jams so that you start killing the harder enemies with jam removal. It's kind of cool. Yeah, kind of cool. Team 2, Teebo, Logray, Stormtrooper. All right, this one is a little bit, like I said, more complicated. So what's happening here? Again, you want crit avoidance because Logray is one of very few characters with built-in crit avoidance, 17%. You put a 35% crit arrow on him, and now he's up to the 50% threshold, such that every time he uses a basic, he's removing X stacks of timber equal to your ally jam, but he's also removing an extra 4. And then Teebo, put a crit arrow on him, crit avoid, he will remove 2 additional. So you've got some timber action there. Logray's got an AoE minus timber movement, and so does Stormtrooper, who's going to remove 4 stacks of timber from all enemies. Logray 6 stacks of timber from all enemies. Basic, remove more timber, and you're going to kill people really fast. Then, to boost the Ewoks, Logray's AoE timber is also going to be AoE jam, which is going to make these guys hit harder, right? And then both Teebo and Logray have AoE evasion boosts, which will boost the Stormtroopers' damage. Ooh, yeah, a lot here, right? So you want to have some decent damage. Don't even worry about damage on your Stormtrooper. You want crit avoidance arrows on Stormtrooper on all 3 of them, actually. You want crit avoidance arrows for the timber support, because they all remove timber. You want tenacity so that you don't lose those stacks of evasion. And then you want potency. And I don't remember which one it is. I think it's Stormtrooper who gives 20% potency to all allies. I could be wrong on that one. Somewhere there was a potency. I don't remember. Maybe not. But you know what? Tebow is super easy to get to 80% potency. That's the threshold here. Oh, it's Nissa who does it. So 80% potency maximizes your stacks of distract. So there it's there on Stormtrooper. It's also there as an AoE on Logray. So you want that potency, which will be easy cheesy to get on Logray. Tebow doesn't have it. My bad on that one. There is so much to keep track of here, which is why I'm writing it down. Yeah, that's why I'm writing it down. Yeah, but so like there's just a whole lot of synergies here. These 2 give evasion. He hits hard on evasion. These 2 give jam. And then these 2 hit hard with basic and jam. Right? These 2 remove timber, which is what these 2 are hitting hard with jam, timber. Yeah, crazy. All right, now the last one is a lot more straightforward. It's the Nissa Ewok Scout Wicket, triple Ewok attackers. Why? Okay. Nissa has an AoE damage, and I'm not even going to worry about the others, but Distract is cool, it's there, whatever. But she's got an AoE damage dealing. So you're hitting each enemy for -10 if you get your offense up high enough. Then Wicket has the same AoE damage. All 3 of them have the Forest Friends mechanic, which is a single target, -12, -12, -12. And again, folks, this is assuming you are at Relic 7. Relic 7, okay? So these numbers do go down if you're not at Relic 7. So, but the point is, they all 3 have high impact damage plus AoE damage, plus they give some evasion to keep themselves alive. You don't have any way to really, I mean, Nissa and Wicked will do some repairing, but repair doesn't really seem to make any difference. You're just killing the enemies. And as you kill them, you accumulate jam. And as you accumulate jam, you start hitting for high timber. -10 timber here, -2 plus X jam timber removal here. So before you know it, you start off killing with basics, and then before you know it, you've accumulated jam, and then your Forest Friend and basics start killing with jam. Timber, jam. Jam, timber. Jam the timber, timber the jam, jam the timber. I don't know why they use such difficult terminology. They wanted to be like, they wanted this to fit and align with the movies, right? Jam their comlinks, but it's just, it's confusing, right? So start off with killing by damage, 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 damage. As you get the damage kills, you start gaining stacks of jam right here. 2 stacks of jam. Woo! Big arrow, big arrow. As you get those stacks of jam on everybody, your basics, which are already hitting hard, start also removing stacks of timber. So you can kill with 2 avenues here. Damage or timber jams. Damage or timber jam. Damage or timber jam. Up here, these 3, evade, 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 1 shot. Jammin', 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 1 shot. Similar, evade, 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 1 shot. Jammin', 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 1 shot. They really fit. They really, really do. Whew. All right, folks, this was episode 2 of How Do I Understand the Speeder Bike Raid. If you liked it, please let me know. Give me a like and a sub, and I will start working on Rebels. I haven't even looked at them yet. So after I get through Rebels, I'm going to go through and I'm going to try to play test this next run and see which teams I think really are the best, and then I will build out that list of them. So stay tuned, like and sub, tell me how your day is, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.